Hello, distance learners. It is Friday, May 8th. On your sheet, you can label today as 9.4b histograms. Histograms is a way to represent data in a slightly different way. So we've looked at a couple different ways. One is stem and leaf plot, one is circle graphs. Today is histograms. So we are displaying and interpreting data from circle graphs and histograms. So to start off with histograms, we first have to take a look at a frequency table. Okay? A frequency table is a way to represent data where you're counting in different categories. Okay? So you can organize data using a frequency table, which lists items according to the number of times they occur. Okay, so in this table we have our age on the top. So we have ages 4. And then down below there we have boys and we have girls. So there are 5 boys that are age 4 and 2 girls that are age 4. Okay, the first question is how many boys of age 7 are there? So if we look at our table, we look at the age 7 and we go to the boys and there are 2. Okay, it says how many girls are age 5. So we go to the 5 age and we go down to the girl column, which is 11. And then it asks how many kids of age 6 are there. Kids is going to include both girls and boys in that, and that's age 6. So we would add the 3 and the 5 and we get 8. Okay. Now, a histogram is a special type of bar graph. Okay, usually bar graphs, instead of looking down here and seeing numbers or ranges of numbers, usually in a bar graph, these here are categories. Where a histogram, this is the specialness of it, it always has a range or an interval of numbers. It shows the frequency of data within equal intervals. Okay, that interval, that word interval, means these numbers down on the bottom there. Okay, those are kind of the categories. Now, there are some things that need to be true. First off, each interval must be the same. They have to have the same amount of material in each one of the intervals. The bars that are there must be touching. Okay? The only time they would not be touching is if within a category, notice how there's 1 in this category. If there were none, that would be the only time that there would be kind of a gap. But if there is anything in each category, then we will have touching bars. Now, histograms represent a general trend of data. Okay? Essentially, we cannot have specific information. We lose that specificity of the information. If we look at our bar or our histogram here, the information here says that there are 2 people that slept between 360 and 380 minutes. I don't know how much time the first person slept, nor do I know how much time the second person slept. All I know that it would fall between 360 and 389 minutes. Okay? Now, we have a question here, and it says, based off of this histogram, which statement can be proven? Okay? Notice how it says statements. That kind of tells us that there's most likely more than one answer. Okay? First off, people need to sleep more. Based off this data, that conclusion would be more of an opinion-based thing. So we cannot, based off of this histogram, determine an opinion like that. People need to sleep more. It doesn't tell us the expected amount of sleep or anything like that. Okay? Let's take a look here. It says people slept 480 to 509 minutes more, or more people slept 480 to 509 minutes than 390 to 419. So to help us out, I'm going to highlight this one and I'm going to highlight this one. And then let's look at our categories here. So the 480 to 409 had 3 people in there, and the 390 to 419 had one person in there. Okay, and 3 is more than 1, and so that would be an option that is true. Okay, C, the mean number of minutes slept is 430 minutes. Now, with the mean, we have to add up the specific values that each person gets and then divide by each of them. We can't get that kind of specific information, and so C is not able to be found. Okay, let's take a look at D. The median is within 420 to 449 minutes intervals. Okay, now this one is actually one that we can do, because remember, median means middle. Okay, now it says that it's falling within 420 to 449 minutes. Okay, now I don't know what is the biggest number, but I do know that the biggest number would be within this range here. There's at least one item there. And so I could cross off the smallest one, which would be in the 360 to 389. And then I can cross off another one in the 480 to 509 and another one in the 360 to 389. Cross off the last one in our biggest column, and then our second smallest column would be there. Okay? Then our next biggest value would have fallen in between 450 and 479, and our next smallest would be in the 420 to 449. Then we would have 2 values. Both of them would fall between 420 and 449, so the middle of those 2 numbers would end up falling between 420 and 449. And so the median would be within the 420 to 449 interval. Okay? Now, right before this, you were asked to print off or make a copy of this page right here. Okay? When we were teaching in person, I had students walking into class and they put information about the charge of their device, their phone, their iPad, whatever they had. Okay? And this is the information that we received. There were no people that said they were between 0 and 9. No people between 10 and 19%, no between 20 and 29, and none between 30 and 39. The next one, we had 2 people that said 40 to 49, 3 that said 50 to 59, 5 that said 60 to 69, 7 that went 70 to 79, 5, 80 to 89, 1 that was 90 to 99, and then 2, so we had everybody included. We had people who had 100% charge. Maybe they had their phone at home and it was plugged in, or they did not have a phone with them or at all. Okay. Now, we are going to create a histogram. If you haven't done so, copy that information onto this page. Okay. Now, notice the first 4 rows are all zeros. And so we would essentially make no bar at all. So I'm just going to kind of make a slight mark there so we can see. Those first 3 rows have nothing in them. Okay. The first time we have any information is this 2. That's the 40 to 49. So this 40 to 49 column would be too high. Okay. And then the 50 to 59 would be our next one, and that was 3 high. Make sure that you're making your bars touch. And then the 60 to 69 would have 5 in there, so we go up to 5. I like to color them in. It's not a necessity, but it just makes you see the information a little bit nicer. And then the 70 to 79 was 7. And going to 80 to 89 has 5. '90 to 99 drops down to 1. And the phone and no phone has 2 pieces of information there. And there we have created a histogram. Based off this information, notice we cannot tell what charge this person had, right? All we know was that their charge was between 70 and 79%. Okay, that's kind of what the histogram tells us. But we do know that the majority, or about the middle of this information, was in the 70 to 79 range. Okay, all right. Jumping into some practice problems, and these are going to be the last 3 questions before you do your practice. The histogram shows the scores of 7th graders' tests in a math classroom. First question is, how many students' scores are being represented in the histogram? Okay, notice we're counting by 2s here. Okay, so our first column, the 50 to 59, there are 4 of them. In the 60 to 69, there are 6 of them. In the 70 to 79 range, there are 10. Then there are 8 in the 80 to 89, and there are 2 in the 90 to 99. Add those up. 4 plus 6 is 10. 8 plus 2 is 10. 10 plus 10 plus 10. There would be 30 students. Okay? Now, how many students passed the test? That means that they got a 70% at least. Now remember, at least means you measure 70%. You count that, and then anything that's above that. Okay? So the minimum in this column here is 70. So 70 would be counted. And then everything above that is counted. Well, 10 plus 8 is 18. 18 plus 2, there would be 20 students that passed. Okay? I think that this passed should have been P-A-S-S-E-D. All right, and the last question here says, under which interval is the median? Remember, the median is the middle number, okay? So we can cross off these 2 high values, which would cross off 2 of the low values. We now have 2 more that's in there. We can cross off those 2 other ones and cross off 2 from this other one. That leaves 6 more. Now, here's kind of the nice thing. If we look here, now this bar here and this bar both have the same amount of students. So there were 6 above and 6 below, so we can cross both of those out as kind of a large chunk that crossed out. And now, no matter what happens, we can cross off the top and the bottom and the top and the bottom and go down to the center. But either way, we are going to end up with our median, our middle number, in the 70 to 79 range. Okay? All right. Go get started on your homework. Remember to reach out to your teacher if you are having questions. Have a great day.